Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. So today, one sutta we are going to take is from Majjhima Nikaya 9. Okay, this is also going through the dependent origination, but from a different perspective. It is from the perspective of the Four Noble Truths, but it is about the right view. Right view is also the first of the Eightfold Path. So the Eightfold Path, which is there, the first of the views is the right view. The right view has the Four Noble Truths to start with. So what I'll do is this is a explanation of the Eightfold Path, which is there. We'll go through this briefly. It's from Samyutta Nikaya 45.8. So we'll go through this Samyutta Nikaya, and then this is a very short sutta, but it is very informative. It is giving the Eightfold Path in detail. At Savatthi, students, I'll teach you the Noble Eightfold Path and I'll analyze it for you. Listen to that and attend closely. I will speak. Yes, Venerable Sir. Those students replied. The Blessed One said this. And what student is the Noble Eightfold Path? That is the right view, right intention, right speech, right movement, right livelihood, right effort, right mindfulness, and right collectedness or concentration. Bhante Dhammagavesi had another way of looking at it is through a harmonious perspective, harmonious intention or imaging. So, what is the image you are having in your mind? Have you an image of smiling, or are you having an image of difficulty? Then harmonious communication, the communication you do with others and yourself. Harmonious movement of the mind. So how is the mind going? How is it going from one thing to another? You are looking at harmonious lifestyle. So how are you living your life? Are you living it with a positive uh, outlook, or are you living it with a negative outlook? Then harmonious practice. So the 6 hours right effort, which is that, is harmonious practice. Then harmonious observation. So how are you observing how your mind's attention is moving from one thing to another? Then harmonious collectedness. So your mind is collected. So that is one other way of translation. And what students is right view, knowledge of suffering, knowledge of the origin of suffering, knowledge of the cessation of suffering, knowledge of the way leading to the cessation of suffering. This is called right view. And what student is right intention, intention of renunciation, intention of non-ill will, intention of harmlessness. This is called right intention. And what student is right speech? Abstinence from false speech, abstinence from divisive speech. Divisive speech is you go to one group of people and say something, you go to another group of people, say something, and make them fight with each other. That is called divisive speech, or they cause division between people. Abstinence from harsh speech, abstinence from ideal chatter, which is like gossip. This is called right speech. And what student is right action? Abstinence from destruction of life, abstinence from taking what is not given, abstinence from sexual misconduct. This is called right action. So now you can see that this thing which is there, right speech, is also a part of the precepts, and right action is also part of the precepts. Okay. And what student is right livelihood? Here, a noble disciple, having abandoned wrong livelihood, earns his living by right livelihood. We talked about wrong livelihood as dealing in weapons, with intoxicants, poisons, livestock, and slaves or human trading. And what students is uh, right effort. Here, a student generates desire for the nourishing of so for the non-arising of unarisen evil unwholesome states. He makes an effort, arouses energy, applies his mind and strives. He generates desire for the abandoning of arisen evil unwholesome states. He generates desire for the arising of unarisen wholesome states. He generates a desire for the maintenance of arisen wholesome states. So he will first strive for the unwholesome not to come. So that is when you are with your object of meditation and you want to be with your object of meditation, and you recognize when it is coming. Then what you do is, if there is there unwholesome is there, what you do is let go. Okay, and then bring up an wholesome. Wholesome is relaxing and smiling, and coming back to your object of meditation. And then you keep your attention on the object. So you then you put effort to increase the wholesome, whatever feeling which has been generated. And what students is right mindfulness. So here a student dwells contemplative body as the body, ardent, clearly comprehended, mindful, having removed covetousness and displeasure in regard to the world. He dwells contemplating feeling as feeling, ardent, clearly comprehending, mindful, having removed covetousness and displeasure in regard to the world. He dwells contemplating mind as mind, ardent, clearly comprehending, mindful, having removed covetousness and displeasure in regard to the world. He dwells contemplating phenomena in phenomena, ardent, clearly comprehending, mindful, having removed covetousness and displeasure in the world. Phenomena can be anything which is arising. It can be a thought also, it can be feeling, it can be any kind of thing which arises as moods, feeling, whatever is a part of your mind. So, what one does is one uh, is doing the practice which is there. So when we are doing practice, we are aware of the body, we are aware of the feelings arising, we are aware of what is happening in the mind. So all those things which is there, we are aware of, and whenever something phenomena arises, we are aware of that also. So yes. See, a thought is one of the things. Other things also you are observing in that sense. If like how the mind is getting attracted to something, how it is getting repelled. So all of those things which are there, which comes up in the practice, you are able to observe that. Okay, how the mind is functioning, how it goes dull, how it gets restless. All those things which are there in the mind, we can observe that. We can say those are phenomena, or that those are the part of the mind also. So that doing of the practice which is there. And what student is right? Collectedness. So this collectedness we have gone through in 111. So this is the jhana. So you go into the jhana. So this is what the eightfold path is. So there is a lot of repetition over here. I'll try and reduce. This is a Sammādiṭṭhi, right view. So this sutta has a lot of information. So from today, the all the suttas which will be taken, all the teaching of the Buddha which we are taking, will have a lot of information. So absorb as much as possible. Okay. This one I am going to read. It is Majjhima Nikaya 9. The Samyutta Nikaya is this sutta on the Eightfold Path. That is 45.8. Huh? It is based on themes. So there are chapters which are based on themes. So this chapter which is there is say of Eightfold Path. So all the suttas in this would be based on Eightfold Path. They are based on length. So middle length discourses and long length discourses, and they are based on numerical. So numerical discourses are there, and numbers like five things, or 1 to 11. There are different numbers. Thus have I heard, on one occasion the Blessed One was living at Savatthi in Jetha's Grove, Anathapindika's spire. There the Venerable Sariputta addressed the students thus: Friends, students, they replied. The Venerable Sariputta said this: One of right view. One of right view is said, friends. In what way is a noble disciple one of right views? Whose view is straight, who has unwavering confidence in the Dhamma, and has arrived at this true Dhamma. So, who has understood this teaching, who has arrived at the teaching and understood this teaching. Indeed, friend, we would come from far away to learn from the Venerable Sariputta the meaning of this statement. So, they are saying that please tell us the meaning of this statement. It would be good if the Venerable Sariputta would explain the meaning of this statement. Having heard it from him, the students will remember it. Then, friends, listen and attend closely to what I shall say. Yes, friend, the students replied. The Venerable Sariputta said this: the wholesome and the unwholesome. When, friends, a noble disciple understands the wholesome and the root of the unwholesome, the wholesome and the root of the wholesome, in that way, he is one of right view, whose view is straight, who has unwavering confidence in the Dhamma and has arrived at this true Dhamma. And what, friends, is the unwholesome? What is the root of the unwholesome? What is the wholesome? What is the root of the wholesome? Killing living beings is unwholesome. So it's also a part of the precepts. Taking what is not given is unwholesome. Misconduct in sensual pleasures is unwholesome. And this is also about loyalty also. So not to cheat on your partner. False speech is unwholesome. So false speech we talked about. The four things are coming in the false speech. Divisive speech, false speech, then harsh speech, and also the frivolous speech, the gossiping, all this. All are coming into this false speech. Malicious speech, unwholesome is unwholesome. Harsh speech is unwholesome. Gossip is unwholesome. Covetousness is unwholesome. Means wanting something. So wanting to have something is unwholesome. Ill will is unwholesome. Wrong view is unwholesome. This is called the unwholesome. So not having the correct perspective is also unwholesome. And what is the root of the unwholesome? Greed is a root of the unwholesome. Hate is the root of the unwholesome. Delusion is the root of the unwholesome. This is called the root of the unwholesome. So that is what which is there for the definition of a person who has still work to do, and a person who has no work, work has been finished, is that he does not have greed, he does not have kind of ill will or delusion. So that is, if you have greed, you have hate, and you have delusion, then you still have unwholesome. And what is the wholesome? Abstinence from killing living beings is wholesome. Abstinence from taking what is not given is wholesome. Abstinence from misconduct is in sensual pleasure is wholesome. Abstinence from false speech is wholesome. Abstinence from malicious speech is wholesome. Abstinence from harsh speech is wholesome. Abstinence from gossip is wholesome. Uncovetousness is wholesome. Non ill will is wholesome. Right view is wholesome. This is called the wholesome. And what is the root of the wholesome? Non greed is a root of the wholesome. Non hate is a root of the wholesome. Non delusion is a root of the wholesome. This is called the root of the wholesome. When a student, when a noble disciple has thus understood the unwholesome and the root of the unwholesome, the wholesome and the root of the wholesome, he entirely abandons the underlying tendency to lust. So when he has understood everything, so this is what we started with the retreat, that this is the practice of understanding. So when you understand what is happening and what is happening in your mind and how your mind is going to towards something and away from something, that is when you understand. So when somebody understands everything, the unwholesome and the wholesome, then he entirely abandons the underlying tendency to lust. It is not just a kind of giving up the lust which has come up now and six-aring. It is underlying the root causes of that is also given up. So underlying tendency to lust, he abolishes the underlying tendency to aversion. He extirpates, means he from the root he removes the underlying tendency to the view and conceit I am. So from the roots, this conceit which is there, I am, the ego which is there, that is removed. And by abandoning ignorance, so he has given up. So one who understands everything has given up ignorance and arousing true knowledge. So what? How is the ignorance removed? Through true knowledge. That is, the true knowledge removes the ignorance. He here and now makes an end of suffering. Then there is no suffering which is there for this person. So that person does not suffer because he has understood it and there is no ignorance. So there can be pain which may be there, but there is no suffering. In that way, too, a noble disciple is one of right view, whose view is straight, who has unwavering confidence in the Dhamma and has arrived at this true Dhamma, nutriment. Saying, good friend, the students delighted and rejoiced in the Venerable Sariputta's words. When they asked him a further question. But, friend, might there be another way in which a noble disciple is one of right view and has arrived at this true Dhamma? There might be, friend. So he said, is there any other way you can explain the same phenomenon? When, friends, a noble disciple understands nutriment, the origin of nutriments, the cessation of nutriment, and the way leading to the cessation of nutriment. In that way, he is one of right view. So now what this is, the formula you see is about the same as the Four Noble Truths. There is a issue, there is a problem, there is a cause for that problem, and there is a solution for the problem, and there is a path leading to the solution. That path is the Eightfold Path. So for everything there is a problem solution statement, and every aspect of this can be understood from this problem statement which is there. And what is nutriment? What is the origin of the nutriment? What is the cessation of the nutriment? What is the way leading to the cessation of nutriment? There are the four kinds of nutriment for the maintenance of being that already have come to be, and for the support of those about to come to be. What for? They are physical food as nutriment, gross or subtle, contact as the second, mental volition as the third, and the consciousness as the fourth. With the arising of craving, there is the arising of nutriment. With the cessation of craving, there is the cessation of nutriment. The way leading to the cessation of nutriment is just this Noble Eightfold Path. That is right view, right intention, right speech, right action, right livelihood, right effort, right mindfulness, and right collectedness or concentration. When a noble disciple has thus understood nutriment, the origin of nutriment, the cessation of nutriment, and the way leading to the cessation of nutriment, he entirely abandons the underlying tendency to greed. He abandons the underlying tendency to aversion. He extirpates the underlying tendency to the view and conceit I am. And by abandoning ignorance and arousing true knowledge, he here and now makes an end to suffering. In that way, too, a noble disciple is one of right view, whose view is straight, who has unwavering confidence in the Dhamma and has arrived at this true Dhamma. So they were happy with that answer, but they asked, is there any other way also? So the Sariputta says, okay, there is one more way. And when, friends, a noble disciple understands suffering, the origin of suffering, the cessation of suffering, and the way leading to the cessation of suffering. So he is talking about the Four Noble Truths. In this way, he is one of right view. And what is suffering? What is the origin of suffering? What is the cessation of suffering? What is the way leading to the cessation of suffering? Birth is suffering. Aging is suffering. Sickness is suffering. Death is suffering. So you can see that everything which is here said is inescapable. If you live long enough, you experience everything. So birth is can be very much suffering because it's a very uncomfortable place in the womb. You have a very kind of when we are all in the womb, it is a very uncomfortable. There was a documentary in Discovery. I think you can search on YouTube also about the birth. It is such a difficult time for the fetus, to grow up, and it is in this constrained space, and it has so much pain, and the mother also faces such a difficulty to give birth. So that whole the process of birth is suffering. When somebody ages, they have all these things which is there, which does not work. So one day everything is good, and one day you wake up and there's some pain is there in the back, or the knee pain is there, or all this pain, and things don't function as they were functioning before. So that is the suffering which is there, sickness is, and death is also, and then everybody becomes sick and unwell, and then death is also suffering. So, what is suffering? Sorrow, lamentation, pain, grief, and despair are suffering. Not to obtain what one wants is suffering. So, I want to get to this kind of space, or this kind of feeling, or this kind of food, or anything which you want is not obtained. That is suffering. In short, the five aggregates, when affected by clinging, are suffering. This is called suffering. So, the five aggregates where we are made of, the physical form, the feeling, perception, the sankharas, and the consciousness, all of this are suffering, because everything, whenever it has contact, there is consciousness is there. When there is consciousness there, then there is perception, and then all these things is there. So, always there is something which is impinging on our senses. Some way or the other, something is impinging on our senses. We are not aware, or we become numb. But then sometimes we have a nice day, but when you get in the evening, we are exhausted. So I had a fun day, but there is so much is happening that we are not aware. But that also becomes a suffering which is there. And what is the origin of suffering? It is craving, which brings renewal of being, is accompanied by delight and lust. So you delight also, but you want more also, and delights in this and that. So they can delight in anything. Somebody can delight in the cold, and somebody will suffer in the cold. So anything you can delight in. So you can delight in anything. This and that. That is craving for sensual pleasures, craving for being. Craving for being is to become something. Okay, I want to become calm. Also is a desire of another being. You have agitation now. Now you want to become a calm person. So that is also a being, or you want to be something else. You want to be a god, or you want to be something. That is also a being. And craving for non-being. Craving for non-being is whatever I am, I don't want to be. That is also craving. That is the reason that people kind of what they say is unalive themselves. No, that is because they think that they want to end it, whatever is there. But that does not help, because when you are not understanding that this, you cannot intervene in the cycle. There is a different cycle you create, but that is something where over here as a human you have an opportunity to examine. When you have an opportunity to examine, then you can know. When you can know, you can let go. Okay, that is what I gave the cup. The Buddha gave this example of the cup, which has poison or kind of medicine. So you can avoid that and go. So the craving for non-being, this is called the origin of suffering. So yes. Hmm. It is possible to change. That is what he says, no, to giving up. Then there is true knowledge is there. When true knowledge is there, ignorance fades away. So when you gain understanding, then your change is automatic. You don't have to do anything for change. So some of the of us may have experience in meditation. If something comes up, six is happening automatically. That will come up in practice also. That you see the distraction, and automatically mind will let it go. So that is something you have learned. This whatever suffering you are creating is through your habitual tendencies. Now you get new habits of recognizing and releasing. So that is a change which is there, because you recognize it as hindrance. As soon as you recognize, your mind lets go and comes. So that is something which you can gain understanding. And what is the origin of suffering? It is craving that brings renewal of being, is accompanied by delight and lust, and delights in this and that. That is craving for sensual pleasure, craving for being, craving for non-being. This is called origin of suffering. And what is the cessation of suffering? It is the remainderless fading away and ceasing, the giving up, relinquishing, letting go, rejecting of that same craving. So you let go, give up, relinquish, uh, reject that same craving. So whatever is arising as a hindrance, you let that thing go. Don't stay with that what has come. Yes. No, no. Consciousness is wherever the Buddha is saying consciousness is six consciousnesses which are there: the eye conscious, ear conscious, nose, tongue, body, and mind. So in certain states of being, there is only consciousness is there. Like I told about the arupa space, where the physically it is not there. There's just mentality is there. Consciousness is in the sense that it is like a light, so it knows it is painful, it is knows it is pleasurable, it knows it is neither painful nor pleasurable. Okay, perception names it as painful, names it as pleasurable, names it as neither painful nor pleasurable. And perception has history also. So it is naming green, it is naming blue, it is naming white. So it is also has a history in that. So that also we can will go tomorrow and day after. There are question answers. So there is a lot of topics which are covered in the question answers. So those things are also covered. So tomorrow we'll take Majjhima Nikaya 44. There also eightfold path is examined, and then 43 we will take, which is a greater series of question answers. There are a lot of topics are covered. Huh. So that is the greed which is there, huh? And then the hate and delusion. That is the root of the unwholesome. And what is the root of the wholesome? Non-greed, non-ill will, okay, and the non-delusion is the root of the wholesome. That is when you have fully understood and full you have knowledge, then you would not be able to have kind of the cravings or the delusion of wanting. You will not have that of aversion to anything or anybody. You will not have delusion. You will not take anything personally. So then that time what happens is you are whatever actions is there, it's wholesome. It is because the root cause of that is something wholesome. And the process of knowing that is when you have a thought arises, you are doing analysis. Not analysis in the sense that you recognize it and you release. So one thought comes, you recognize it as impersonal. Okay. Then what happens is at one point of time you recognize whatever is coming as impersonal. And then what happens is you are not defined by that thought. You want to put your attention on the wholesome. So then at one point of time, when you are not giving any nutriment to whatever is coming up, then the root of this is only getting dead. There is no nutriment to that. And because the root is there, then there is no something arising only as a unwholesome. So that time you don't have to do 6 hours also, because that something is not arising. It is what you say. By doing that, I get to know what was the worth of my unwholesome. You will not know in that. No, you don't need to know. As of now, what is required is you do this, and slowly, slowly, you will come to that understanding. That is the thing. Observation will give you the insight. Because that is what is that why it is coming is very sure is that something has happened in the past which was in line with other unwholesome. You had given it nutriment, and that has a time and this thing, so that can be understood, but it cannot be understood in specific manner. If you had to go in the back, you need another amount of understanding, which is the level of concentration or something like that, which may not be possible in a short period of time. So then you will have to spend 10 years to kind of just get the concentration. Then you develop your psychic ability. That would take a lot more time to gain access. But this is the most accessible way of gaining insights. So that is a very short time. Yes. Cessation of nutrients means that when you are letting go of all those things, then at the end, there are no nutriment to take you to the next lifetime. So what is this cycle which is there is fueled by this nutriment. So you have certain amount of nutriment which is there already. Okay, so when Buddha became awakened, he did not pass away, or the Arahant when they did not, they continued living till the time they had their karmic energy which was there. For Buddha, it was about 45 years. For some, it was more also. So they stayed as per the lifespan was there. Okay. Yes.
But sometimes people know, consciously know that it's harmful, fully well. Still, they can't stop themselves. Like, for example, a cigarette, right? In the packet that says it kills, and they see in the TV, they see the hospital, it get damaged, not damaged. Still, they can't stop smoking. So
See, there are two levels of knowing. No, so over here also, you have been told about 6 hours and all these things, but you find that still there are some people will not be doing the 6 hours correctly. After 6 days or 7 days of continuously repeating this, still there would be. So there is a different levels of knowing, and every knowing happens through the lens of perception. Okay, so your perception is becoming the kind of the filter. So when you are having some kind of craving, there is levels of that also. So some things you will create delusion, like okay, it does not affect me. There was I saw a documentary where this 90-year-old or 110-year-old was smoking and he did not have anything. Actually, I saw a documentary where 123-year-old was smoking and having beer, and when they asked him why, what is your secret of longevity? So he said, whenever in the night I get up, I don't go back to sleep, I go and have coffee. So that is my secret of living for more than 100 years. He did not know what is the reason. So we did not know, but they make something. When I was very young, in my kind of maybe I was 5 6 year old. That time there was one woman who was Italy's most aged woman, 120 or something like that. She was asked what was her secret. She said garlic, and everybody started eating garlic. It was kind of a boom in garlic. Everybody was going, oh, we should have garlic in. So that is what happens, that we don't know everything which we have. We don't even know how those things affect us because we are not seeing those things in a light. So it takes some time to get through that. That is what the Buddha said is the dust in the eyes. So when we have more dust in the eye, it takes a lot more difficult. With less dust, it takes. So it is a constant process, and there is no. So over here, if there are 50 people who are in the retreat, there are 50 different retreats which are happening. 50 different progress charts are there. So there is no two people who are having the same experience. That's it. And when a noble disciple has thus understood suffering, the origin of suffering, the cessation of suffering, and the way leading to the cessation of suffering, he here and now makes an end of suffering. In that way, too, a noble disciple is one of right view, aging and death. So they are agreeing, but they are asking for more. They are saying, I agree, we agree with you. But is there any other way we can do it? When, friends, a noble disciple understands aging and death, the origin of aging and death. Now we are coming to the dependent origination. Okay. The cessation of aging and death, and the way leading to the cessation of aging and death. In that way, he is one of right view and has arrived at this true Dhamma. And what is aging and death? What is the origin of aging and death? What is the cessation of aging and death? What is the way leading to the cessation of aging and death? The aging of beings in the various orders of being, their old age, brokenness of teeth, grayness of hair, wrinkling of skin, decline of life, weakness of faculties, This is called aging. The passing of beings out of the various orders of being. Their passing away, disassociation, disappearance, dissolution, disappearance, dying, completion of time, dissolution of the aggregate, laying down of the body. This is called death. So, this aging and this death are what is called aging and death. With the arising of birth, there is arising of aging and death. With the cessation of birth, there is a cessation of aging and death. The way leading to the cessation of aging and death is just this Noble Eightfold Path, that is right view and the rest. So they say that, we agree with you. They're delighted, but they wanted to know something else. So now we see that what is death. The reason for the death is birth. So now we are going back. So he is giving one more reason for that. He is saying birth. Saying, good friend, when friends, a noble disciple understands birth, the origin of birth, the cessation of birth, and the way leading to the cessation of birth, in that way he is of right view and has arrived at this true Dhamma. And what is birth? What is the origin of birth? What is the cessation of birth? What is the way leading to the cessation of birth? The birth of beings in various orders of being, their coming to birth, precipitation, that is in the womb, generation, manifestation of aggregates, obtaining the basis of contact. This is called birth. With the arising of being, there is arising of birth. With the cessation of being, there is cessation of birth. So now this is using being. We use habitual tendency, which is for our mental phenomena. Over here, the being is larger concept is used. The larger concept of being. So when the being is there, then there is birth. The way leading to the cessation of birth is this Noble Eightfold Path, that is right view to right concentration. When a noble disciple has thus understood birth, the origin of birth, the cessation of birth, and the way leading to the cessation of birth, he here and now makes an end of suffering. So whenever you understand, you are able to let go. So they say that they agree with the Sāriputta, but they want to know more. So I said, yes, I will tell you the next step. So next step is being. When friends, a noble disciple understands being, the origin of being, the cessation of being, and the way leading to the cessation of being, in that way he is one of right view and has arrived at this true Dhamma. And what is being? What is the origin of being? What is the cessation of being? What is the way leading to the cessation of being? There are these three kinds of being: sense sphere being, fine material being, and immaterial being. So I talked about that. Sense sphere beings are us or the animals and whatever is there. Fine material beings are any hell realm animal, the ghost, hungry ghost, or any devas. They are the fine material. And the one is the Arupa Lokas. Arupa Lokas are when you have Arupa Jana experience without having the Buddha's context. That is when you go to Arupa Lokas, where there is no body, there is just mind, where the development is not possible of the mind. Even in a fine material being, Deva Loka will have some kind of ability to understand and progress in the understanding. With the arising of and what is okay, sir? Fine material being. With the arising of clinging, there is arising of being. With the cessation of clinging, there is a cessation of being. The way leading to the cessation of being is just this Noble Eightfold Path, that is right view to right concentration. So they said, yes, that is correct, but give us some more. So then the Sāriputta goes to the clinging. When friends, a noble disciple understands clinging, the origin of clinging, the cessation of clinging, and the way leading to the cessation of clinging, in that way, he is one of right view and has arrived at this true Dhamma. There are these four kinds of clinging: clinging to sensual pleasures, clinging to views, clinging to rules and observances, and clinging to a doctrine of self. So we discussed this previously. We had discussed this. With the arising of craving, there is a arising of clinging. With the cessation of craving, there is a cessation of clinging. The way leading to the cessation of clinging is just this noble eightfold path. That is right view to concentration. When a noble disciple has thus understood clinging, the origin of clinging, the cessation of clinging, and the way leading to the cessation of clinging, he here and now makes an end of suffering. In that way, too, a noble disciple has one of right view and has arrived at this true Dhamma. So now we are going to craving. So again, they agree with Sariputta, ask more. Is there some way else we can explain the same thing? They said, yes, we can. And what is when friends, a noble disciple understands craving, the origin of craving, the cessation of craving, and the way leading to the cessation of craving. In this way, he is one of right view and has arrived at this true Dhamma. There are these 6 classes of craving: craving for forms, craving for sounds, craving for odors, craving for flavors, craving for tangibles, craving for mind objects. With the arising of feeling, there is the arising of craving. With the cessation of feeling, there is a cessation of craving. The way leading to the cessation of craving is just this Noble Eightfold Path, that is right view to right concentration. So when somebody understands the craving, then he makes the end of the suffering. So when a noble disciple has us understood craving, the origin of craving, the cessation of craving, and the way leading to the cessation of craving, he here and now makes an end of suffering. In this way too, a noble disciple is one of right view and has arrived at this true Dhamma. So they say, good, whatever you said, we agree, but tell us one more way of understanding. When friends, a noble disciple understands feeling, the origin of feeling, the cessation of feeling, and the way leading to the cessation of feeling, in this way he is one of right view. There are these 6 classes of feeling: feeling born of eye contact, feeling born of ear contact, feeling born of nose contact, feeling born of tongue contact, feeling born of body contact, feeling born of mind contact. With the arising of contact, there is the arising of feeling. With the cessation of contact, there is a cessation of feeling. The way leading to the cessation of feeling is this Noble Eightfold Path. So this is how also some arrives and makes an end to suffering. So they are agreeing with him and asking for the next. So he is giving one more way it can be explained. When friends, a noble disciple understands contact, the origin of contact, the cessation of contact, and the way leading to the cessation of contact. In this way, he is one of right view and has arrived at this true Dhamma. And there are these 6 classes of contact: eye contact, ear contact, nose contact, tongue contact, body contact, mind contact. With the arising of the sixfold base, there is the arising of contact. With the cessation of the sixfold base, there is a cessation of contact. The way leading to the cessation of contact is just this Noble Eightfold Path, that is right view to right concentration. So they, if somebody has understood the contact, then also he comes to the cessation of the suffering. Mhm. No, understanding is you understand the impersonal nature of the contact also. You understand how this contact is functioning. So as you kind of examine, so it is that is what he's saying, that there are all these things are there wherever your understanding is developing, and it develops in a complete manner. There you will give up. So you don't have to understand everything in detail. So if you say you understand contact, okay, then you kind of examine and keep at examine at the contact, and then at one point of time you will not be having any kind of with the contact, whatever feeling comes, you are not taking it personally. The craving which is generated, you are not taking personally, and there is no clinging happening. Correct. So wherever your understanding is at this moment, you can be at the suffering also. So many people have that suffering. Then you can understand suffering also. So then there is suffering. There is a reason for it, because I want something. So one of the Ajahn Jayasaro is a very kind of nice explainer of the Dhamma in Thailand. So once he said that whenever you are having some suffering, see what was the resistance which you have. Okay, against the background of white only you can know the black. Okay, so what is the resistance? If you are able to let go of resistance, you are able to let go of suffering. But sometimes you are so attracted to the resistance or itself that you accept the suffering also. So that is how you understand. So you can just examine suffering and also come to the end of suffering. Correct. 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 So any point you can examine, and if it helps you. So sometimes the Buddha says, just examine the impermanence, or just examine the dukkha, or just examine the impersonality. So that is also, so there are some list of contemplation which are there. So this can all be a list of contemplation. You can take one and kind of go deeper into the understanding of that. So when friends, a noble disciple understand the sixfold base, because for the contact also sixfold base is there, the origin of the sixfold base, the cessation of the sixfold base, and the way leading to the cessation of the sixfold base. In this way, he is one of right view and has arrived at the true Dhamma. Sixfold base is eye, ear, nose, tongue, body, and mind. So I have a sixfold. There are the six bases: the eye base, the ear base, the nose base, the tongue base, the body base, the mind base. With the arising of mentality, materiality, there is arising of the sixfold base. With the cessation of mentality, materiality, there is a cessation of the sixfold base. The way leading to the cessation of the sixfold base is just this Noble Eightfold Path, that is right view to right concentration. When a noble disciple has thus understood the sixfold base, the origin of the sixfold base, the cessation of the sixfold base, and the way leading to the cessation of the sixfold base, he here and now makes an end of suffering. In this way, too, the noble disciple is one of right view and has arrived at this true Dhamma. So when you understand the sixfold base also, you can come to the end. And then they agree, but they ask for more. When friends, a noble disciple understands mentality, materiality, the origin of mentality, materiality, the cessation of mentality, materiality, and the way leading to the cessation of mentality, materiality. In that way, he is one of right view and has arrived at the true Dhamma. So, feeling, perception, volition, contact, and attention. These are called mentality. The four great elements and the material form derived from the four great elements. These are called materiality. We have gone through mentality, materiality that time. So this mentality and this materiality are called, what is called mentality, materiality. With the arising of consciousness, there is the arising of mentality, materiality. With the cessation of consciousness, there is the cessation of mentality, materiality. The way leading to the cessation of mentality, materiality is just this Noble Eightfold Path, that is right view to right concentration. So when you fully understand mentality, materiality, that also leads to your cessation of suffering. Then they agree with him and then ask for further. When friends, a noble disciple understands consciousness, the origin of consciousness, the cessation of consciousness, the way leading to the cessation of consciousness, in that way he is one of right view and has arrived at the true Dhamma. There are the six classes of consciousness: eye consciousness, ear consciousness, nose consciousness, tongue consciousness, body consciousness, mind consciousness. With the arising of formations, there is the arising of consciousness. With the cessation of formations, there is the cessation of consciousness. The way leading to the cessation of consciousness is just this Noble Eightfold Path. So when he fully understands consciousness, that also leads to his end of suffering. So they agree with him and then ask for further. That how can we know something further? When friends, a noble disciple understands formations, the origin of formation, the cessation of formation, the way leading to the cessation of formation. In that way, he is one of right view and has arrived at this true Dhamma. And the formation, there are these three kinds of formation: the bodily formation, so whatever we do with body, okay, so you can say bodily karma, whatever is done, which is bodily formation, verbal formation, and the mental formation. So these are the things which we do, or we actions which are there, or the things which are generated through these actions. With the arising of ignorance, there is the arising of formation. With the cessation of ignorance, there is a cessation of formations. The way leading to the cessation of formation is just this Noble Eightfold Path, that is right view to right concentration. One of the things you likes to point out, he used to come with me to teach. So he used to point out that when somebody does some action, it is called karma, okay, or kamma in Pali. But when a arahant does an action, it is called kriya. It is just an action. So there is no karmic energy which is there. So one of the ways, what is the generosity fruitful? So sometimes by the giver, the generosity becomes fruitful because the giver gives with a mind which is wholesome. Or somebody receiver makes the generosity fulfilling because the receiver receives with a mind which is wholesome, or the receiver is somebody who is kind of worthy of gifts, so that becomes wholesome. Then there is a phenomena where the receiver and the giver are both in an unwholesome state, so that has no kind of positive results. And then there is a state where the both the giver is wholesome and the receiver is wholesome, but there is no karmic energy created. That is when an arahant gives a gift of something to an arahant. So there is no karmic energy created because it's just an action. So we have to understand this because when we say that arahant is there, he can still have actions. He can still give gifts or something like that, and he can have actions, but they are not karmic actions. So they are not earning any merit or demerit. They are just an action which is there. So based on that, so there is no ignorance underlying those actions. So over here, when we say formation, then ignorance was underlying those kind of actions which is there. Yes.
If the intention is good, but the result is bad.
Result cannot be bad. The result, bad result will only be to the bad karmic flow in that sense. So say uh, in whatever happens bad, there are two things which is possible. One is there is a karmic thing which got ripened. So we don't know what is your past karma. It's a very long list or long time we have been in samsara. So that has ripened and that has happened now. So you may have done something good and immediately what has ripened the time for is to experience the bad thing which is there of something which you have done maybe 100,000 lifetimes ago. Okay, that has happened now. Or it can be a happenstance. Happenstance is something happens and you come in the crossfire of that. Okay, there's a falling of the tree and you get caught up in that. Okay, that can be a happenstance, but happenstance is also part of the realm you are in. So as a human being, you can be caught up in a tree falling. As a animal, you can be caught up in a tree falling, but as a deva, you will not be caught up. So your being in a certain circumstances, certain things are possible of happening, and those things may not everything which happens may be karmic. It can be a happenstance also, but happenstance is possible because these things are possible in the realm of us. Okay. When a noble disciple thus understood formation, the origin of formation, the cessation of formation, the way leading to the cessation of formation, he here and now makes an end of suffering. In this way, too, a noble disciple is one of right view and has arrived at the true Dhamma. And they agree, but they want to know more. So he is giving one more, and that is of ignorance. When friends, a noble disciple understands ignorance, the origin of ignorance, the cessation of ignorance, and the way leading to the cessation of ignorance, in that way he is one of right view and has arrived at this true Dhamma. And what is ignorance? What is the origin of ignorance? What is the cessation of ignorance? What is the leading to the cessation of ignorance? Not knowing about suffering, not knowing about the origin of suffering, not knowing about the cessation of suffering, not knowing about the way leading to the cessation of suffering. This is called ignorance. With the arising of taints, taints is all the things which can defilements is also one of the words which is used. Asavas is, I think, in Pali, asavas. So now when the something is there, say this is a clean cup which is there, it was white cup, but all this red was put in, that then that is stained. So now the whiteness of it is hidden. So the knowledge is hidden by this ignorance, which is the taints which is there. Because of that, ignorance is arising. So there is one other way. If we have time, I'll explain the causes and condition for ignorance arising also. The Buddha is talking about in one other sutta, which is Anguttara Nikara. The way leading to the cessation. So, okay, where was I? Huh. This is called ignorance. With the arising of taints, there is the arising of ignorance. With the cessation of taints, there is a cessation of ignorance. The way leading to the cessation of ignorance is just this Noble Eightfold Path, that is right view to right concentration. So we said that when there is something which is paint is there or something, and you are always every day cleaning, and what happens? It fades away slowly, slowly, and then it goes away. So that taints which is there is also something which is goes away as you kind of do cleaning of it. What is the cleaning of it? Is not giving nutriment to it. What is the not giving nutriment? Doing 6 hours. We do 6 hours, keep on doing 6 hours. At one time, things will not arise. It may take 10 years. It may take maybe 2 lifetimes. That is not sure. But if you are continue doing that, then at one point of time you will attain that result. But it is the persistence and the diligence and kind of what you have the patience also of continuing to do that. When a noble disciple has thus understood ignorance, the origin of ignorance, the cessation of ignorance, and the way leading to the cessation of ignorance, he here and now makes an end of suffering. That is a way also of the arriving at the right view. So they agree, but then they ask for more. So then they are talking about the taints. And when, friends, a noble disciple understands the taints, the origin of the taints, the cessation of the taints, and the way leading to the cessation of the taints, in that way, he is one of right view, whose view is straight, who has unwavering confidence in the Dhamma, and has arrived at this true Dhamma. One other thing is in Majjhima Nikaya 111, there is a cessation which happens in the after the neither perception or non-perception. He has a cessation of perception and feeling, and there the line was that with the ending of the taints, he gives up all kind of attachments which is there, all kind of aversions he gives up, all kinds of delusions he gives up. So that is what the taints ends. By understanding, you go and progress to the practice, and this practice will take you. But then this can also happen in any level. You can reach in first jhana also. You can reach in the noble, the nothingness jhana also, or you can reach it through Brahma Vihara. So any of this practice which you are doing, you can reach the end. So because you are examining the impermanence, as you are examining the impermanence, you gain in understanding into everything which is there. One of the interesting thing is impermanence. I told you about impermanence is linked to the dukkha. So when there is something which is there, it is impermanent, then it will cause dukkha. Then if it is causing dukkha, it cannot be said to be a self. Okay, self as a concept does not have dukkha. So a permanent, everlasting self which is there, which cannot have dukkha. But if there is a dukkha, then you can understand the impersonality also, the not self also, or the anatta also. So all of these three are linked. Okay, if you understand dukkha, then you know there is impermanence. Okay, and you also know that there is no self, because there is no permanent continuing self. That you can know through examining the dukkha. When you are examining the impersonality, you know if there is impersonality, there is impermanence. If there is impersonality, there is dukkha. So if you examine any one of them, you can gain insight into all three of them. So anyone you take exam, or over here, if you examine any one of them in the dependent origination, you can gain insight into all of them. So then you can reach the ending of it. There are these three taints: the taint of sensual desire, the taint of being, and the taint of ignorance. So the taint is also the ignorance is also dependent on taints, and taints is also dependent on ignorance. These are also interdependent. Okay. Huh? Their taints is like defilements. Defilements or something which kind of you have some explanation.
Yeah, well, so actually, this word asava comes from a similar word in Hindi or Jain might be ashrava. And in so the Jains came slightly before the Buddhists, and they had this idea of the asavas. They had the idea that it literally means in flow. And they had the idea that, living in the world, you have things flowing in that are polluting your soul. You have to rid yourself of those things. The Buddha changed it a little bit. And so it still has this idea of motion. But when we see this, the kamasava, the bhavasava, the avijjasava, the Buddha is changing the idea from things coming in and corrupting you. Instead, we see that this ignorance is causing us to go out and try and get sensual pleasures, to go out and try and get new sorts of existence, go out and continue to be ignorant. Right? So this asava, these asavas, or excuse me, this word asava is something that was there in the Buddhist time. He's redefining, and it's this idea of these things that keep us coming back to sensual pleasures. Ultimately, are not helpful for us. They keep us coming back to different kinds of being, wanting to be this, wanting to be that, wanting to be that, which ultimately everything ends. And it's ignorance which keeps us from seeing that, from understanding that, is also one of these asanas. Does that do anything else?
Vasana is also the desire, but that is just a desire. But it is like something, a film you put. Say, if I have this glasses, and I keep on putting some black film, then at one point of time I will not be able to see correctly. Okay, at one time I may be blind. Okay, so based on that, if I start cleaning this, then I will get more and more clarity. That is what is the asava. It kind of comes and clouds the judgment and the reality. Asava. Uh-huh. No, it is the kind of the our understanding. So asavas are also a part of the. There is nothing something which is independent. It is based on our understanding. So I understand that say having warm water is good for health, or somebody understands that warm water is bad for health. So that is just our understanding of that. But maybe both are wrong views. Okay, but what is kind of coming in our is our understanding of something. So that is clouding our view of the reality.
So it's not like metaphysically different. It's not like there's a soul here and a mind here, and some asava here, and kind of doing that. Instead, think of it like it's just another construct. So if you build a house of cards, right, and maybe you can have a little bit of support from that. Then if you knock down the house of cards, well, the cards are still there, the material is still there, but the way that it's functioning is gone. It's no longer the house of cards isn't the best example, but I hope that gives some idea, right? It's no longer removal of the asavas means they can no longer perform their function. The way that leads to continued birth and suffering no longer.
Some of them, not all of them, some of them, but some have come in as hindrances, and some of which you had six-hour, you are able to weaken, and some you did not six-hour or just kept it, that you have again given nutriment. So that is how this works. As you kind of let go, more and more your understanding of this process of arising and you letting go, that is the same process. That process remains the same, and that will lead to the kind of the taints which are there getting eroded and weaker and weaker and weaker. Each time you let go, you make it a bit weaker. When a noble disciple has thus understood the taints, the origin of the taints, the cessation of the taints, and the way leading to the cessation of the taints, he entirely abandons the underlying tendency to lust. He abandons the underlying tendency to aversion. He extirpates the underlying tendency to the view and conceit I am. And by abandoning ignorance and arousing true knowledge, he here and now makes an end of suffering. In that way, too, a noble disciple is one of right view, whose view is straight, who has unwavering confidence in the Dhamma and has arrived in this true Dhamma. That is what the Venerable Sariputta said. The students were satisfied and delighted in the Venerable Sariputta's words. And they did not ask any more questions.